Oh yeah, there we go. So we said, who is, and this sounds really, really bad.
Oh yeah, no.
But who is the bottom of the racist pile? And by that I mean, so
Who doesn't get
if you look
the
at
attention?
so we kind of got into quite a deep conversation around, well, you know, it's only last year that
the BLM stuff happened?
all the BLM stuff happened.
Less than a year, actually. It was like April, May, wasn't it?
Whenever George Floyd, and
it was,
and he wasn't the first person to die. Obviously, there's always like, you know,
well, it's been happening for years. Yeah.
yeah, but it took that and the fact that now we now have social media for it to become like a global movement, right?
Mm.
But then, in the context of now, with all these Asian hate crimes, which I'm assuming is fueled by the coronavirus because they think it's like their fault somehow, but it begs the question, you know, where, like, how come that's not getting as much attention compared to
stuff.
And so that's why we sort of started having the conversation of who is at the bottom of the racist pile. And so, and I said to Camille, is it my kind of Asian, or is it the Asian hate crimes against, like, you know, the Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, and like the hate crimes that are happening in America there? I think we established it probably goes the most.
So the top being the ones who get the most
attention,
exposure out of it. Not exposure is a really bad word because it's not.
Or have the most mass awareness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like,
and people are willing to take notice of it.
Yeah, and post about it and
there's
share
a lot
their
of
views.
There's a lot of like social posturing that you realize because people want to be like, oh, I'm not racist, but only for like the big high profile causes that get them attention. So it's never like, nothing's unconditional. It's always sort of done for, like, I guess, clout chasing, as you'd call it nowadays. Yeah. So we established it was black racism, which gets the most exposure.
Right.
And again, we using these terms very loosely, but hopefully you're not too soft and understand what we mean. Then
the Far East Asian, I guess, if you want to say that.
Yeah. Then my Asian, the brown people. But then I suppose we missed out the I guess the Latin community, because they also get a lot of stuff.
But I guess you have so many like micro ethnicities within that as well. So obviously we're just completely like
it's like
generalizing like we normally do. Yeah, it's blanket terms. But yeah, I guess the Latin Americans or Spanish
Hispanic
people? Hispanic, yeah.
It's also hard to say.
I think it's hard to say without saying the wrong words.
Yeah, I don't know what's a politically correct word now. This is not going to get any adverts on it.
But doesn't matter. I think the Far East Asian and the Hispanic are probably equal.
Yeah, actually, I would say,
and then white people. Not that white people need to be included in this list, but you know, people might sort of experience racism being white in some case. You know, I don't know if you're in another part of the city where, you know.
So I really hate it when people are like, you can't be racist to white people. I was like, you can.
No, you can be racist to anyone.
You can.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the whole thing is, you know, black people have had fucking hundreds of years of this, which is kind of why we were talking about like why they're almost at the front of it, because they've always had it. So it's been more of a thing, and it's you know, you've had Martin Luther King, you've had like all these movements.
Equally, you could also say about anti-Semitism, so people who are anti-Jewish.
Oh, cheers, yeah.
Because that is very high profile, actually, and yet people don't really support it as much, or they're not. Maybe they do, but they're not happy to be seen supporting it. And I think maybe that's because comparatively, it's easier to. So let's use like a white person as like a basis, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at a white person, look at a Jewish person, they can look quite similar, right?
Well, with color, they're the same.
Yeah. Whereas the difference between a black person and a white person, you know
it's
straight
the opposite
away.
Color spectrum.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I think because it's easier to distinguish, and therefore it's easier to jump on. It's a bigger bandwagon to jump on because it's easier for people to understand. It's like saying, and this is really, really crude marryment of two things here, but it's like saying how football is more accessible, right, to the masses because it's easy to understand. It's a more simple sport, whereas you look at rugby, not so easy.
Yeah, you can't just like
there's a lot more to
rugby,
it.
Like on the street.
I feel like you have to be a lot more cerebral player to play rugby well.
I got you.
There's more players, more positions, more roles, and
there's more rules as well, I guess.
Yeah, and there's yeah.
You need more of an understanding.
So I think in that
before you
on
do
that
it.
in that same vein, I think it's easier for someone to jump on the bandwagon and be like, "Oh, I'm anti-racism because look, I'm supporting a black person," whereas if they go, "I'm anti-racism because I'm supporting a Jewish person," people are going to look at the Jewish person and be like, "Well, what are they struggling through? They're white."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's not.
Which I guess is how you can be racist to a white person.
But I guess
because
that's not race, though, is it?
Well, no, because Jews are a race. Because a Semite is someone from the Far East. So it's
Okay.
it's that region.
I got you.
So
Sorry for the ignorance.
anti-Semitism is no. That's the thing.
I,
Like
I get what you mean. I always associated that with with
a religion.
Religion,
Yeah.
because it is.